She did not knock. The door slammed open under a hard gust of mountain wind, and the woman stepped inside like she had no strength left to wait. Snow clung to her shoulders. Her breath came in sharp bursts. Her gloved hand trembled once, then went still as she lifted her chin. Dmitri Volkov did not move from the fire. He watched her from across the cabin, one hand resting on the handle of a splitting maul, the other hanging loose at his side. The flames behind him snapped and shifted, throwing light across the hard lines of his face. The woman's voice came rough. "Marry me." The words landed in the room like a dropped blade. If you've ever seen something so out of place that your mind refuses to accept it, then you know the kind of silence that followed. Outside, the wind clawed at the cabin walls. Inside, Dmitri stared at her as if she had just stepped out of a dream he never asked for. He did not smile. He did not ask why. His eyes moved past her toward the open door, toward the storm pressing down the mountain, then back to her again. "You're freezing," he said. She did not deny it. Her lips were cracked, her cheeks burned red from the cold. Snowmelt dripped from the torn edge of her velvet riding coat and pooled on the rough plank floor. Still, she stood straight. "I didn't ride all this way to turn back," she said. Dmitri leaned the maul against the wall. The iron head hit wood with a dull thud. "Door," he said. She turned, pushed it shut, and leaned her weight against it until the latch caught. The wind dulled to a low howl outside. For a moment, she stayed there, eyes closed. Then she crossed the room. Each step looked like it cost her something. By the time she reached the table, her hand found the edge of it, fingers tightening just enough to steady herself. Dmitri moved then. Not fast, not careful, just direct. He grabbed a tin cup, poured black tea from the pot near the fire, and set it in front of her. "Drink." She wrapped both hands around it. The heat hit her skin, and her shoulders dropped an inch. She took a sip, did not react, just swallowed and kept going. Dmitri watched her over the rim of the flames. The coat, the posture, the way she held his gaze when she finally looked up. He knew her, not from meeting, from distance, from rumor carried up the mountain like smoke. "Katya Volkova," he said. Her jaw tightened. "Then you know I don't ask twice." Dmitri pulled out a chair and sat. Wood creaked under his weight. "Settlements down the mountain," he said. "Plenty of men there who'd say yes before you finished the sentence." Her hand slammed lightly against the table, not loud, but sharp enough to cut through the room. "They don't want me," she said. "They want what comes with me." Dmitri said nothing. She reached into her coat and pulled out a folded paper. Didn't hand it to him, just held it. "My father is dead," she said. The fire cracked. "He left everything to me, with a condition." Dmitri's fingers tapped once against his knee. "Marriage," he said. Her eyes flicked up. "You heard? People talk," he said. "They talk wrong," she replied. Her grip tightened on the paper. "If I don't marry before my birthday, everything passes to my cousin." Dmitri's gaze didn't shift. "Then marry," he said. "I won't," she snapped. The word came harder than the rest. The room held it. "They'll take everything," she added, quieter now. "And they'll smile while they do it." Dmitri leaned back. Chair legs scraped softly against the floor. "Still doesn't explain why you're here." Katya took one step closer, close enough now that he could see the small cuts along her fingers, the raw skin where rains had torn into her hands. "You don't belong to them," she said. "You don't belong to anyone." Dmitri's eyes narrowed slightly. "You don't want the land," she continued. "You don't want the settlement." She placed the folded paper on the table. "I need a name," she said. "That's all." The fire shifted again. Light moved across her face. Not soft, not weak. Something held tight behind her eyes. "If I walk back down that mountain alone at nightfall, I lose everything." The number, the weight of it. Dmitri looked at the paper, didn't touch it. "How much?" he asked. She didn't hesitate. 5,000. The number sat heavy in the air. Even the fire seemed to quiet around it. Dmitri's jaw moved once, a small shift, then still again. "You ride into a storm," he said slowly, "to offer a stranger money for his name." "I rode to survive," she answered. Her hands trembled again. This time she didn't hide it. "Will you do it?" Dmitri stood. The chair scraped back hard. He walked past her without looking, stopped by the window, and stared out at the white blur swallowing the mountain. The storm had come fast. Snow was already covering his tracks outside. No easy way down, no easy way back. He stood there a long time, long enough for the tea in her hands to stop steaming, long enough for her shoulders to stiffen again. Then he turned. "You take the cot," he said. She blinked. "We ride at first light." For a moment, she didn't move. Then the breath left her body all at once, and her grip on the cup loosened just slightly. "Thank you," she said. Dmitri grabbed a blanket and tossed it toward the corner. "Don't thank me yet." The fire popped. A spark jumped and died. "Sun's not up," he added. Outside, the storm tightened its hold on the mountain, and inside that small cabin, something had already begun that neither of them could take back. The mountain did not forgive mistakes. At dawn, the cold bit through bone and leather alike. Dmitri rode ahead without looking back. His horse picked its way down the narrow trail, hooves finding rock beneath a thin layer of ice. Each step carried the quiet risk of a fall that would end everything in a single slip. Behind him, Katya followed. Her hands were wrapped in cloth now, tied rough but tight. She held the reins differently this time, not pulling, not fighting, watching him, learning. The wind had settled, but the silence felt heavier than the storm. "You've ridden before," Dmitri said without turning. "Yes. Not like this." "No." A small pause, then her voice again. "I didn't have a choice." Dmitri's jaw shifted once. "No one ever does," he said. They kept moving. The trees thinned as they descended. Snow gave way to wet ground, then to thick mud that clung to the horses' hooves. Below them, the valley spread wide, and in the center of it, Zalesie. Even from a distance, it didn't look welcoming. Smoke curled from chimneys. Wagons moved like ants through narrow streets. Life, noise, everything Dmitri had left behind. They reached the main road just before midday. That was when the first eyes found them. A man stopped hammering outside a smithy. A woman froze mid-step on a wooden boardwalk. Then another, and another. By the time they rode past the first tavern, the entire street had gone quiet. Hooves pressed into mud, slow, measured. Every sound carried. Katya kept her chin high. Her dress was ruined, her hair loose, but she did not shrink. "Don't look at them," she said under her breath. Dmitri's eyes moved across the street. "I have to," he replied. A figure stepped forward. Tall, clean, too clean for this place. Viktor Krasnov. His boots never touched mud unless he chose it. Today he stood in it, blocking the road. "Katya," he said. Her horse stopped. Dmitri's moved half a step forward, close enough to cut off any angle from the side. Krasnov's gaze shifted, slid over Dmitri like something unpleasant, then back to her. "You disappeared." People were concerned. "I went riding," he said. His lips curved. "With him?" He stepped closer, close enough to reach her reins. "Get down," he said quietly. "You've made enough of a scene." His hand grabbed the leather. The horse jerked. Before he could pull again, Dmitri moved. Not fast, not loud, just enough. His hand closed over Krasnov's wrist. Firm, still. "Let go," Dmitri said. Krasnov looked up, and something changed in his face. Not fear, not yet, but something close to it. He pulled his hand back, slow. "You don't belong here," he said. Dmitri didn't answer. He looked at Katya. "Let's go." They rode past him. The silence followed. Inside the magistrate's office, the air smelled of ink and stale paper. The man behind the desk stood too quickly when they entered. "Miss Volkova?" "We need a marriage license," she said. She placed a gold coin on the table. It rang sharp. "And we need it now." The man's eyes darted to Dmitri, then back to her. "This is highly irregular. My father is dead, and time is not on my side." That ended it. The book came out. Names were written, questions asked, answers given. Short, flat, no ceremony, no warmth. "Do you take this man?" "I do." "Do you take this woman?" Dmitri looked at her. Her hands were clenched tight at her sides. Her breath held. "I do." The pen scratched. Ink sealed it. "Done," the man said. Just like that. They stepped back outside. The crowd had doubled. Whispers moved like wind through dry grass. Katya didn't stop. She reached into her coat, pulled out a small leather pouch, and pressed it into Dmitri's chest. Coins shifted inside. Heavy. Real. 2,000, she said. He took it, did not open it. "Where now?" he asked. "I have business at the house." He nodded once. Then she turned, walked away, alone. Dmitri stayed where he was. The pouch weighed against his palm. More than enough to leave. More than enough to disappear. His horse waited. The road north waited. The mountain waited. He should have moved. Instead, he watched her. Watched the way people stepped back as she passed. Watched the way eyes followed. Not with respect, but with calculation. He didn't like it, didn't know why. He turned, started toward the livery. Inside, the smell hit hard. Hay, leather, animals. Familiar, safe. He saddled his horse in silence, checked straps, adjusted weight. Routine. Rust shifted near the door. Low sound in his throat. Dmitri slowed, not stopped, just enough. Two men stepped inside. City men, wrong kind. They spread out without speaking, one to the left, one to the right, closing space. "Are you leaving?" he asked. Dmitri didn't answer. His hand rested near the saddle. Mr. Krasnov thinks you should stay, the other said. Dmitri turned slightly, enough to see both. Then Mr. Krasnov should come say it himself. The first man smiled, not friendly. You took something that ain't yours. Dmitri's fingers flexed once. Make your move, he said. They did. Too slow, too loud. Dmitri closed the distance before the first gun cleared leather. His hand struck hard against the man's throat, air cut off, body folding. The second man reached, rust lunged, teeth snapping close enough to freeze him. Dmitri didn't waste it. He grabbed a wooden handle from the wall and swung, solid, clean. The man dropped. Silence again, just breathing, slow, even. Dmitri stood over them. No rush, no panic, just checking, ensuring. He searched one, found a folded note, opened it, read. His eyes didn't change, but something settled behind them. He folded it once, then again, slipped it into his coat. Outside, the settlement carried on, like nothing had happened. Dmitri walked to his horse, untied the reins, then stopped, just for a second. The mountain called, cold, empty, honest, but somewhere behind him a door had closed and something else had begun. He turned the horse, not toward the trail, toward the town. The rain started before he reached the mansion, cold, steady, the kind that soaked through cloth and settled into bone. Dmitri did not slow. The front gate stood open. That was wrong. His horse stepped through mud and gravel, hooves heavy against the rising wind. The house loomed ahead, dark against the gray sky. Windows dim, no movement where there should have been. Rust growled low. Dmitri swung down before the horse fully stopped. The front door was closed, but not quiet. Something moved inside. A sharp thud, a voice. He didn't wait. His boot drove into the wood. The door burst inward with a violent crack, slamming against the wall. Glass shattered. Wind rushed through the entryway. Inside, 3 men. One of them turned. Viktor Krasnov. He stood too close to her. Katya was backed near the stairs, one hand raised, the other gripping something small and metal. A pistol. Her arm shook. Not weak, just pushed too far. Step away, Dmitri said. No shouting, no rush, just a statement. Krasnov turned slowly. His face tightened. You again, he said. Dmitri stepped inside, boots grinding over broken glass. Rainwater dripped from his coat onto the polished floor. You're on my land, he added. Krasnov gave a short laugh. This house doesn't belong to you. Dmitri didn't answer. He kept walking. The 2 men behind Krasnov shifted, hands lowering toward their guns. Rust's bark cut through the room, sharp, warding. Dmitri stopped 3 steps away. Close enough now. Krasnov's eyes flicked to the rifle in Dmitri's hands. Careful, Krasnov said quietly. You don't want to make this worse. Dmitri tilted his head slightly. Worse for who? The room held still. Then one of the men moved. Just a twitch. That was enough. Dmitri's hand shot forward, grabbing him by the coat and throwing him sideways into the wall. Wood cracked under the impact. The second man hesitated, then ran, straight out the broken door into the rain. Krasnov didn't move. He stayed where he was, but his breathing changed. You think this ends here? He said. Dmitri reached into his coat, pulled out the folded paper, threw it at Krasnov's chest. It hit and dropped. Krasnov looked down, then up again. His face lost color. You sent them, Dmitri said. Krasnov swallowed once. You don't understand what you've stepped into. Dmitri stepped closer. Now there was nowhere left to go. You're done here, he said. Krasnov held his ground for a second longer, then stepped back. 1 step, then another. I'll be back, he said. Dmitri didn't blink. No, he replied. Krasnov turned, walked out into the storm without another word. The door slammed in the wind behind him. Silence returned, broken, uneven. Katya lowered the pistol. Her fingers loosened and it slipped from her grip onto the floor. She didn't look at it. She looked at Dmitri. You came back. Her voice barely held. Dmitri set the rifle aside. Not far, never far. Didn't like how it ended, he said. She let out a breath. Not steady, not controlled, just real. Her knees gave slightly, and she caught herself on the stair rail. Dmitri moved without thinking. His hand steadied her arm, firm, grounding. She didn't pull away. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The wind filled the space where words should have been. Then morning came slow. Gray light slipped through broken glass. The house looked different in daylight, less like a fortress, more like something cracked open. Dmitri stood in the foyer sweeping shards into a pile. Each motion simple, direct, like nothing had changed. Katya watched from the stairs. Her hands were wrapped in fresh cloth, her posture straight again, but something in her eyes had shifted, not softer, just quieter. You don't have to do that, she said. Dmitri didn't stop. I broke it, he replied. She walked down, stopped a few steps away. Everything is secure now, she said. The estate, the contracts. He won't try again soon. Dmitri leaned the broom against the wall. Good. A pause. You're free to go, she added. The words stayed between them, heavy. Dmitri looked at her long enough for the silence to stretch. Are you telling me to leave? You're telling me that you don't owe me anything. He nodded once, then turned, walked toward the door, each step slow, measured. He reached for the handle, stopped. His hand rested there, still. Behind him she didn't move, didn't speak. The house held its breath. Then Dmitri turned back, walked to the desk near the wall, opened the drawer, pulled out the marriage paper. He looked at it for a second, then walked to the fire. Katya stepped forward. What are you doing? He didn't answer. He dropped the paper into the flames. It caught fast, edges curling, ink turning black. Gone. She stared at it. The last proof, the last protection, reduced to ash. Why? She asked. Dmitri faced her. You wanted a deal, he said. That was it. The fire cracked, wood shifted, the room warmed. He stepped closer, not forced, not rushed, just certain. I don't do deals, he added. She held his gaze, didn't look away. Then why are you still here? The question stayed in the space between them. Dmitri's hand lifted, slow, careful. It touched her face, rough skin against soft but steady. Because you're not done fighting, he said. Her breath caught just once, and I'm neither. Outside, the storm had passed. The air hung still, clean. Inside, the fire burned steady. No contracts, no deals, no easy way out. Just two people standing in the middle of something they hadn't planned, and no intention of walking away. If this story held you till the end, hit like and share it with someone who feels stories like this. And stay close, there's always another one waiting.